Yo, what's up? It's your boy Grandma Cookies. Checking in on another video. And today I'm gonna be talking about it's this novel that I've been reading. And I've been reading this novel for like the last, I say, almost a year at this point. And I wanted to talk about it because this novel, it was good, but it had its lows to it at the same time. And I want to talk about it. And I'm not really here to recommend it to y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I ain't recommending this novel to y'all if y'all haven't catched the hint. Yeah, it's not that good. It's okay, but it's not amazing. So I am not even recommending it to y'all. I just now if when I talk about it and you think it's interesting, then you can go check it out. But yeah, it's a Marvel fanfic, which already says a lot about it. And it has up to 730 chapters currently out. And if I had to do the ratings for the plot, I give it a 6 out of 10. And the base plot is pretty much a dude gets reincarnated into the Marvel universe. Well, he's reborn into the Marvel universe. He's reborn 16 years before the actual story. That's like the base plot of the story. And the reason why I give the plot 6 is because the plot like it really gets bad after like chapter 300. It goes downhill from there. And for me, I only read that up to chapter 500 because I couldn't take it anymore. So I didn't even get to chapter 600 and 700. So I don't know how bad it really got, but I know it was bad from where I was reading it. So I give the plot a 6 out of 10. And then for characters, I get the characters a 9 out of 10, surprisingly, because the characters they weren't bad. The characters was actually good, and that's the reason. That's like that's one of the bright spots of this novel is that the characters in the Marvel universe, like Thor, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Daredevil, everybody else, Deadpool, all them characters. The way the author write those characters, they feel believable. They feel like they're actual selves. Like when you see like how, like if you read it or you already read it, and when you see how Deadpool acts like how Deadpool acts in the movies. So I really like that about it. And then Iron Man is also kind of the same. Like he acts how he would act in the real world. So there's one thing I really did like about the characters was that, and I always wanted to get the characters a 10 out of 10 because the MC is not the best character. But yeah, and for world building, I was gonna get a world building a 6 out of 10, but I kept reading on to about chapter 500, and I got no choice but to give it a 7 out of 10 because the world is actually pretty decent. It's not the best type of world building you could build, but it's good enough. Like it has the Marvel world to build off, so it's already gonna be to a certain level already good. That's why I didn't give it a 6. I gave it a 7 because it's built on the Marvel world. The Marvel world is amazing, so I went ahead and just gave it a 7 out of 10 because, like I said, the MC, he does explore a lot of different things in the Marvel world that we don't see in the movies. So I do give them props for that. And for the action in here, I give it an 8 out of 10. Even though this novel was bad, I cannot downplay the action. The action is really decent and it's actually coherent because when you see like when you reading it, you can actually understand what happened and you can visualize it in your head. So I did give it an 8 out of 10 for action because the action is really good, even though some crazy things does happen, but it's good for me personally. And then for the story development, this is where the novel fell off for me. And the difference between story development and plot is that plot is more based off ideas. Like the plot of this story is the MC gets reborn 16 years before the Marvel world starts. That's the plot. But the story development is how does all that happen? How does the MC, like what does the MC do after that? Like that's the story development. The story development is how you execute the plot. The plot is just pretty much ideas. And for story development, I would have gave it a 7 out of 10 if only I was covering from chapter 1 to 300. But I'm doing I'm doing all the way up until where I read chapter 540 something, and I give the story development a 4 out of 10, and that's probably one of the like lowest scores I gave a novel up to this point that I've been reviewing them, and that's because the story falls off really hard when when you get to chapter 300 something. That's when like the story starts to fall off like hard. Like it goes from being at the top of a cliff and just crash lands at the bottom of the cliff, and it still somehow gets lower than that. I don't know how, but it does, and that's why I say the story development is like one of the things I hated about this novel is purely was that. And and that's pretty much it for the ratings. If I had to give it a true rating, I give it a 6.8 out of 10, even though that's not as low as what you might think. Because like I said, there was still some bright points. Like I said, the characters was convincing. The action was actually understandable. And you could understand the plot. You could understand the action. You could understand all the stuff when it came to the action part. So there was some bright points. And that's why I gave it a 6.8 out of 10, not like a 5 or 4. And yeah, and that's pretty much it for the ratings. And then if I had to talk about it a little bit deeper, because I want to go more deeper into it. And for the plot, like I said, the MC, he was born 16 years before the Marvel Cinema Universe takes place. Because this does take place in the Marvel Cinema Universe, not the comic universe. So it is different. And like everyone else, he pretty much gets a system, and he gets power from the system. And so he decides to become a hero. And that's pretty much like the base plot of the whole entire story. And the MC himself, Lin Ru, or I forgot this dude's name. All they really call him is Jackson. So he's like I think his first name is Jackson or his last name, I don't know. But Jackson, the MC, his character is, I say it gets good. Like his character from the start of the story is like he has like a solid character foundation at the beginning of the story, because he know his goals. He know what he wants to achieve, and his character itself is really good. But but once we get like to chapter 500, his character is downgraded so much to the point where his character pretty much becomes a side character. Like he's still the MC, but he has the qualities of he has the character development of a side character. That's how much development he got. He didn't get little to no development throughout the whole entire story. It's actually depressing that they couldn't develop his character more, because his character had a solid foundation. His character was good from the get-go. So all you have to do was add a little bit more to his character, but his character, they didn't do none of that. So yeah. And then for the other characters in the story, Iron Man was one of my, I say my favorite, if not my second favorite, behind Deadpool in this series, because Iron Man, he felt believable. His storylines and his relationship with the MC was believable, even though some of it was kind of forced. It was still believable, and I liked it. And it's the same for Deadpool. And Deadpool's character felt like the real Deadpool in the movies. In the Marvel cinema, Deadpool, his character felt like that Deadpool. So when you used to see, when I was reading it and I seen his character, I enjoyed that. And there are many other characters in this series too, like Spider-Man, Harry Osborn. You got Thor. Thor is a big character in here too. And then you got a lot of other characters that play different parts in this whole entire novel. And yeah, and to wrap up the video, not to have y'all here forever, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all my likes and dislikes. And my only like about this whole entire novel is that I love the way they set up the Marvel Cinema Universe. And what I mean by this is they set up the way they integrated all the different Marvel worlds together. I mean, Marvel movies, just the whole entire Marvel world together, how they integrated it all together. At one point, the MC, he's in New York, right? and he's dealing Iron Man and stuff. They're dealing with their stuff like Iron Man and stuff. He's dealing with Shield and Hydra. But then also you can go down to New Mexico and there's Thor. Thor is going through his storyline. And also you can go to like another part of the world and there's something else happening. So all the stuff is happening at the same time. And one of the things the MC, he tries to jump to every little single place to see what happens and to develop the story and build relationships with these certain characters. And that's the only real thing I really liked about it. And you probably didn't understand what I just said, but I said it. And yeah, I did. For the dislikes, there's a lot of dislikes. And my biggest dislike that truly angered me and made me stop wanting to read it is like chapter 350. But I went ahead and read on to chapter 500 because I thought it was gonna get better. Was that the MC the MC is being nerfed every single second of the story. Like it's not even funny. Like how it's truly sad. Like how much they downgraded his character. Cause I say from chapter. Because okay, I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, he starts off only being able to fight criminals on the street, like regular average humans, and then he gets into one point he gets so powerful to the point where he can fight against the Iron Man suit. And Iron Man suit is a robot, so it has super strength and all things like that. And he's able to fight toe to toe with the Iron Man robots, right? The Iron Man suits. He's able to fight toe to toe with them. And then from that point in the story, the MC literally gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. It's like he reaches his peak and he never gets stronger than that. Like he has this sword attack where he charges up. He gathers a bunch of electricity and he's able to unleash a powerful attack. That's about as powerful as he's literally gotten. And there's people in the Marvel world, Thanos can snap you out of existence with just a snap. So it's like the MC, he never really got stronger from the point of when he was able to fight toe to toe with the Iron Man suits. Once he reached that strength, it just goes down here. So if you do end up reading it, just know once after he ends up after all that crap happens with Tony Stark, just know the story is going downhill from there. But you can still read it. It's like I don't know. I just hated the way they did it because the MC, he had a lot of potential to be powerful, and that's the thing that I think ruined the story as a whole is that the MC, he was getting nerfed, and the reason I think he was getting nerfed was the author didn't know how to implement problems for the MC. Like one of the things that absolutely made me want to drop the story, but I kept going, was that when he got captured by Hydra, and you might be thinking, oh, Hydra must have some type of super weapon to capture him, right? No, they sent Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch to go hunt him down and bring him to the base, right? And he end up kind of defeating them. And he want to tell you what the MC does. This is the stupidest thing ever. He plays like he's knocked out. He acts like he's knocked out so he can go to the Hydra base. And you want to tell you something? He never told anybody. He didn't tell any of his friends. He didn't tell Tony Stark. He didn't tell nobody where he was heading to. So all they know is this dude just randomly disappeared. And the MC, there was such out of character for the MC, because the MC was like, he's very calculating. He knows he's always a step ahead of every character. But for some weird reason, he decides to fake being unconscious so he can get into the Hydra base. But why would you put yourself in the Hydra? Like, why would he send himself into the Hydra base and he know he's not as powerful as he once was? Like, it's so stupid the way they did it. And then even when they captured him there, it was so stupid the way they ended up finding out his identity. That was so stupid the way they found out his identity. The way they captured him was stupid. Just everything about the Hydra storyline was so stupid to me. That's like one of the biggest things that shot, like, that's completely ruined the story for me, and for everybody else who ends up reading this novel will hate that. And off that little tangent, another thing that I hate was, and this correlates with the Hydra thing, is that they drag out the arcs in this story, because there's different arcs in this story. Like, one arc is the MC, he goes to New Mexico, and he like kind of gets involved with the Thor situation, because you remember in the first Thor movie, Thor was sent down to Earth as punishment, and you remember his hammer, all the stuff that was involved with that. So the MC does end up going there, and that's like a little whole mini arc in and of itself. And so there's different arcs, and the arcs, they get dragged out. When I tell you, like, the Hydra arc is dragged out from like chapter 100 to like chapter 400 something. So like, no arc should be dragged out that long, even though the Hydra storyline wasn't always present, it was always in the background. I was like, why don't you just already deal with them? Like, and this one thing that I got to say for all fanfics in Marvel is that they love to drag out the Hydra storyline, and the Hydra storyline is so it's so annoying, because a lot of fanfics, they love to drag out the Hydra storyline for some weird reason, even though it's like it's no point to drag it out that long. And I'm gonna get off that tangent. And then another thing that I kind of didn't like, even though I didn't mind it at first, but it was a problem, and it's they switched over from the Marvel Cinema Universe, like from chapter, like I think it was chapter like 250. They went from chapter 1 to 250, they was in a Marvel Cinema, and then after chapter 250, they transitioned over to the Marvel Comic Universe. So it was different things like that bother, even though in them, like, that right there really didn't bother me as much as like him being nerfed or you dragging out the storylines. Like, but it was still there in the background. I noticed it, but I kind of at the same time didn't care, because it wasn't so overbearing to the point where it ruined the story. That's one good thing I can say about that. And the last thing that I hate about this story is that the story was wasted potential. This story was great. Like, at the beginning, this story was this story still holds up from chapter 100 to chapter 250. This story still holds up as one of the best Marvel fanfics I ever read. But the thing was after chapter 250, it just goes downhill, and there's so many different things. Like, I just explained to you like all the things that went wrong with the story, and there's even more. Like, it's just a lot more that went wrong with the story. But I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, and I'm trying to keep it short. So yeah. And should you watch, I absolutely say, if you want to see what I'm talking about and how this story is a complete wasted potential and how the story becomes bad, then I say read from chapter 1 to chapter 310, and then you'll understand why this story became so bad. But like I said, from chapter 1 to 250 is good. So if you want to just read a good Marvel fanfic up to a certain point, then I say, yeah, check this out. It's decent. It's decent. It ain't amazing, and like what I thought it was, because I was so excited to do this review on this novel, because I thought it was gonna be good. But then once I stopped reading it, because like I was gonna do it earlier, but I felt like I was like, I need to read more of the story so I can give everybody like a good opinion, like give my actual opinion on the story, and not just be talking nonsense the whole video. But like, it's literally like the story just got worse. Like, so that's all I'm about to say. And then, like I said, if you want to go read it for yourself to see the dumpster fire it is, then yeah, go check it out. But if you ask me to recommend it to you, I say no, because it's not good. It's not good. That's all I have to say. Like, it's just no more I can say. And yeah, man, that's it for the video, man. It's your boy Grandma Cookies. Leave a like, hit the subscription button. I come out with more content, talk about more different novels. I like to talk about fanfics. I like to talk about martial arts novels. I like to do manga. I like to do anime too, even though I haven't did it in a while. I like to do all that. And if you want to subscribe for that, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. And yeah, man, it's your boy Grandma Cookies. And I'm out.